it's wonderful to kind of be a part of a movie where not only is Jean Grey at the forefront of this movie and the most powerful mutant, but also she's not only just the protagonist, but also the antagonist, and she's an incredibly flawed and well-rounded human being who I think is an accurate representation of what a woman really is. And also we get this wonderful thing of the antagonist also is empowering Jean as well, Jessica's character, and it's wonderful to have these two females in these scenes together, kind of one empowering the other despite being the villain.
One thing that I'm really excited by in this film is it explores in some sense female rage, which you don't really see in cinema or in media. There's been, I guess, a stereotype of women, to be looked at as these delicious little candies, and not that we actually have, that we could have some darkness. And without the darkness, you don't have the light. So I think there's something very freeing about that. And especially with all these women's marches that are happening all over the world, I'm hoping that a lot of people will connect with it.
I guess we should always remember that, X-Men was written in the civil rights era, and this idea that the central character is Jean Grey, the most powerful mutant is a woman, and the whole sort of theme around this story, yes, it's a fantastical universe, and it's a comic book world, but at the core of it is this concept of people that feel like misfits or pushed to the fringes of society, not included, and that is something that is in the world, has always been in the world. I feel like as human beings we seem to be very tribal, unfortunately, and even though we have opinions that we get more sophisticated as the centuries go by, we still kind of revert to this sort of tribalism, and usually it happens, I guess, when people hit hard times. If there's austerity cuts, people, it's more difficult to pay the bills, to put food on the table for their families, and then of course there's always that sort of distraction that these things are responsible for, other people are responsible for this, whether it be refugees or a minority, and I think that sort of creates this sort of divisive atmosphere, and it's scary, and we always hope and in some respects find ourselves surprised that we don't learn from these previous lessons that we've experienced in history. But I'm an optimist, so I think the future's bright. I think the generation coming up now, the young generation, I think they're a very positive force, and I look forward to them fixing everything.
Well, yeah, the X-Men have been a part of my life for almost 15 years now, maybe more. I've worked on more than I can even count. I love these characters. I grew up reading these characters in the comics. The transition to directing for me was very natural and organic, and it was really because of these guys. They were so supportive. I've worked so closely with them on the previous movies as a writer, producer, in a, I guess, sort of directorial way sometimes. I'd worked with Jessica before on The Martian, and so I was walking into a situation where I was working with my family. It felt like it was like any other movie, except there wasn't the filter of somebody else's vision that I had to sort of go through. And I just felt supported, and I felt safe, and we had a lot of fun making the movie, even though obviously we entered into it with this real seriousness of purpose, because it's a different kind of X-Men movie. It's a more dramatic, a more raw, real film than we've done before. And I think for all of these actors, that kind of rawness and reality and drama is what they're used to, and what they love to do.